You're listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.
This episode,
we're tracking a missing robot in FAB Facts.
We are stuck at the bottom of the ocean in the Randomiser.
and it's the Jeremy Hitchen grand finale.
Oh, that's all coming up in Pod 152.
Of the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
Cool.
Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson and Richard James.
Pod 152 of the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
That is the correct number of this edition.
That's a relief.
Which means we are rapidly approaching Pod
153.
56, which takes us to our 3-year anniversary. Is that right?
I see. Yes. Okay. Yes, it would do. Yeah.
Anyway, look,
we haven't taken a single break, have we?
We
in all that time.
Maybe we don't yet deserve
Neither
one.
of us.
Yeah.
No weeks off, nothing.
Well, we've done a few pre-record blocks where we've then taken some time off.
But, every week there's been a podcast.
I know, all that time. Amazing.
Yeah.
We're still here, banging on about Gerry Anderson stuff in the Gerry Anderson Podcast. I'm Jamie Anderson, son of Gerry Anderson, which is why I'm here. Who the hell are you and why are you here?
Oh, no. Well, I'm Richard James. That's the first part.
Yeah,
I don't really know the answer to the second half of your question. Why am I here?
Because you're a very kind and enthusiastic human being who is an essential part of the world of Gerry Anderson.
That's true.
I
tend to have not much to do in the afternoons.
That's the other thing, yeah, okay. And I was going to say, you're very much like Chris Dale over there.
Am I?
Yes, who's weirdly sitting on a chair, balancing on a table. I don't know why he's doing that.
What is he doing up there?
Very
Do be
odd.
careful, Chris.
Yeah, don't fall off. Anyway, Chris will be here later on with the Randomiser because that's what he does. Very important part. Some might say the most important part of the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
Yeah.
But what other less important parts of the Gerry Anderson Podcast are there, Richard James?
Well, would you like them in order of importance?
Well, that sounds like it might offend me or some other people, but yes, please do give us those in order of importance.
Okay, well, I should say that the least important thing coming up...
Yes.
Oh, no. Well, okay, it's FAB Facts, of course, which we'll listen to just a moment.
Predictable.
Then we've got, in order of importance, crikey. Well, let's say the Gerry Anderson News. I mean, that's pretty important.
Yeah, okay.
But that's coming up in a little while as well, because there's, as we know, always something happening in the Gerry Anderson universe.
Yes.
Lots to talk about there. Then we've got, I would say, our Podsterons, our lovely listeners. They've been emailing us at podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk and tweeting us and hashtagging us, #Gerry Anderson Podcast. And they've been writing on our Podsterons Facebook group as well. And I should be reading out some of their messages a little later on. And that makes the most important thing out of all these things so far, part 3 of your, Jamie's, interview with the lovely Jeremy Hitchen.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah?
That's beautifully done.
I didn't want to offend, you see, but...
I think by not wanting to offend, you probably partly offended several people, but I generally agree with that. No, it's all very good and all very exciting. And of course, you, lovely listener, who I'm talking to right now, you are now a Podsteron. It's happened by default.
Whether you like it or not.
And exactly, if you've never heard that term before, just by listening to this and being part of our lovely community of Podsterons worldwide, you are now a Podsteron. So I've just knighted you with a comlock either side of your, touched you on the shoulders, now making you an official Podsteron. Yes, if you wondered what that strange, touching sensation was, it was a comlock. Okay, I think we should move swiftly on to, as you've already said, the least important part of this entire podcast, and that is FAB Facts.
Get it over with then.
Now, time for this week's FAB Facts.
FAB Facts, which is the least important part of this podcast. So, if you've got anything else you want to do, scratching your ear or going for a walk, take the rubbish out, then probably now is a good time to do it. But if you're interested in FAB Facts in the Gerry Anderson universe, then this is the section for you. I've got a book of FAB Facts. I'm going to flick through the book. Richard's going to shout FAB at a random point, and then I will stop flicking and read you a FAB fact from the page where I stopped flicking. Are you ready to shout FAB, Richard?
Born ready.
Are you ready to listen to a FAB fact, Podsteron? Very good. Then here we go.
FAB!
Ooh. How interesting.
What? Is it?
Yes. Well, it's page
You
70.
set the bar quite high there.
It's page 74 in the book of FAB Facts.
Oh, yeah.
Which puts us at quite an interesting period. So here we go. Richard James, we all know that every Anderson vehicle is packed with 40,000 tons of TNT. So as cool as they are to see in their entirety, it's often cooler to see them destroyed.
Yes, it is. That's true.
Most obviously, the Space 1999 Eagles were regularly crashed, trashed and exploded, but also Spectrum lost quite a few of their vehicles, as did Shadow, and so on and so on and so on.
Yep.
Lots of big bangs in the Gerry Anderson universe. But then there are other vehicles like Supercar, Fireball XL5, and Stingray, which feel a bit more special, a bit more precious, perhaps.
They do, yeah.
They are the title vehicle, which almost makes them a character in their own right. And the thought of destroying them just feels plain wrong.
Imagine.
Unless you were a writer of TV21 in the late 1960s, of course.
What?
Ah, yes. One of those iconic 3 vehicles was actually destroyed, blown to bits, for real, in the pages of the classic comic.
Crikey.
I know. So, when TV 20th Century 1 launched in January 1965, the 2 Star Anderson strips it carried were, of course, as you well know, Richard James, Stingray and Fireball
And
XL5.
Fireball XL5, yes, that's right.
Both in glorious colour.
Indeed.
Supercar was in there for a while too, but it wasn't for very long, and it wasn't part of the sort of shared continuity of the comic, the early iterations of the Anderverse.
Oh.
So as the years rolled by, the arrivals of Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet and Zero X gradually pushed Stingray and XL5 out of the comic. Boo-hoo, some might say.
Indeed.
So first they would go from full colour back to black and white. Then they just become text stories, and finally, those strips would disappear altogether. Sad. But that is how, in March 1968, Fireball XL5 finally left the comic as a text story in issue 167 titled Grounded. I'm saying that way because there's an exclamation mark at the end of the title.
Right.
So, Grounded, in which Fireball XL5 itself was blown to pieces by an enemy attack. Sad.
Wow.
Not only that, but one of the show's most beloved characters may have been on board at the time.
What?
No, Richard, it wasn't Zuni.
Oh, you said beloved, didn't you?
Yeah. It was Robert the Robot.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Really?
So, yes, really. So in this story, Robert is mentioned as being on board Fireball XL5, serving as co-pilot during the mission in which it's destroyed, but is suspiciously not mentioned as being with Steve, Matt and Venus when they abandoned ship in Fireball Jr.
He's left at the controls.
Well, or in the main body, I suppose. In fact, when they crash Fireball Jr. on a nearby asteroid and discuss the possibility of surviving baddies attacking them, Steve says, "There's 3 of them and 3 of us," meaning Steve, Matt, and Venus.
Well, did no one mention Robbie at all? Robert the Robot at all? No one said, well, what about... Hang on.
It looks like their faithful robot friend, who would have been quite handy in that fight, doesn't even get a mention.
Charming.
The trio eventually made it back to Earth, where Commander Zero promised that a new Fireball XL5 would be built, but still Robert was not mentioned. It looks like the author probably just forgot to mention him, but if that's the case, it's a rather unfortunate story to do that in, and presumably many readers were wondering what happened to Robert and if he was destroyed with the ship.
Oh, no.
The following week, the XL5 stories were replaced by Project Sword, so it looked like Robert's fate was going to remain a mystery. But 4 months later, in issue 184, TV21 gave us an update on how construction of the new XL5 was progressing and even published a photo of Robert 2.
Oh.
This new robot looked exactly the same as the previous Robert, although, according to TV21, certain modifications have been made to his inside as a result of suggestions from the XL5 crew.
To his inside?
His inside, yeah. Again, that's still no confirmation of whether the original TV series Robert had been lost. It was just TV21 inadvertently muddying the waters even more. Thanks, TV21. However, given how fond the XL5 crew clearly were of Robert, it's hard to believe that they would entertain the idea of replacing him unless something disastrous had happened that meant they'd had to do that. So there we are.
Gosh.
Not only did TV21 destroy Fireball XL5, they may have also accidentally thrown poor old Robert the Robot into a plot hole in the process.
Oh dear. What a shame that such a thing should happen in a text story as well. We don't even get to see it because it is one of those iconic moments when a ship of that sort of legendary status, like your Enterprise or your Liberator in Blake 7, to see them being destroyed in the series is quite something, isn't it?
Yeah.
This just happened like in a text, like an afterthought.
And then it was blown up. Yeah. But what do you think, Podsteron? Was Robert destroyed, or did he somehow make it back to Earth and was floating in space after the destruction of the main body? I mean, it seems like he was destroyed, and I guess in the flurry of activity, they just didn't mention him in the story.
Yeah. Gosh, that's harsh, isn't it?
So yeah, poor old Robert, eh?
Wow. Yeah, poor old Robert.
I wonder if he had the same voice as Robert 2, or whether he had an upgraded one.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm not going to do the voice.
Oh, I was a little bit nervous there for a moment.
No, don't worry. But I guess we'll never know what happened to Robert and whether he really did meet his maker or whether his maker just made another one for the sake of it a few issues later. Anyway, There you go. If you've got any thoughts, Podsteron, on what might have happened to Robert, then do email us podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk and we'll happily read your thoughts next time. But for now, I think that brings us, plot hole and all, to the end of this week's
Robert Fact!
Perfect. Lovely. Yeah. Weird, isn't it? How these things happen.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, poor Robert the Robot. That's very sweet. Anyway, now, you are, of course, listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Of course you are, because you're interested in all things Gerry Anderson. So, don't forget, in that case, to subscribe to us on whichever channel you're listening to us on. You can leave us a nice review and a rating as well, and share us with your friends so they get to hear us as well, all that sort of stuff. You know the drill. Now, I have got some emails here. Because our Podsterons have been emailing us in at podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk, for example.
Yes.
This is Mark Perkins. Hi there, Chris, Richard and Jamie. Following on from Richard saying how difficult it would be to rhyme anything with Virgil. I'm afraid it got into my head and I couldn't settle. I've taken the three of you out for a run, or rather I downloaded the podcast and you were on my headphones, and as I was some way from home, I spent the remainder of my jog composing something. Now, I know you said no more limericks, but I'm a bit of an addict and couldn't help myself.
Oh dear.
So, are you ready for this?
I'm not sure I am, but go on.
While writing a song about Virgil, his brothers complained that they felt ill. It took so much time to make the thing rhyme, and all they came up with was Persil. He says, at least it's
Mark.
clean. Anyway, thanks for the fun time, says Mark, past, present and future. You're now just over halfway to your tricentennial. Regards, Mark Perkins.
Oh, thank goodness that. Not what was it? Sesquicentennial, was it?
Oh, no, stop it.
I'm not even sure it was that. I can't remember now. But
No.
thank you, Mark, for your clean limerick.
Yes, other washing powders are available. Chris Moore got in touch to say when Chris Dale discussed the new Captain Scarlet episode Virus, he suggested that the idea of a computer virus infecting humans may not be original. He was right. The high-tech drama series Bugs used the same idea in, I believe, episodes 9 and 10 of Series 2, broadcast in 1996. Curiously enough, those episodes were written by your recent interviewee, Stephen Gallagher.
Small world.
Yeah, move over, Kevin Bacon, says Chris. Everybody is actually connected through Gerry Anderson. All the best from Chris Moore. Yeah, that's true. There are lots of connecting. You can connect up the dots, can't you, between actors, directors, writers, and crew members through lots of Gerry Anderson series and beyond to TV shows and movies. We know that all over the place.
Richard, can I dive in here with a suggestion?
Please do. Yeah.
I think that we should ask our listeners, that's you, lovely Podsteron, to play a game with us of 6 degrees of Gerry Anderson.
Oh.
How do you feel
Right.
about that?
Well, how's it going to work?
Well,
What are the rules?
we, you and I, will name a random place, person, or object, and a second one of those. And the listeners, that's you, listening, you, will have to send us a 6 degree or less description of how those two things connect to the world of Gerry Anderson, or through the world of Gerry Anderson. Does that make sense, sort of? So
go on.
So we'll pick a Gerry Anderson thing. So I'm going to say Thunderbird 2. Let's start obvious.
Yeah, okay.
And that needs to be connected through
with
6 degrees.
Yes. To
Post-it notes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a game, isn't it?
Of course it's a game.
Yeah, so, all right. No.
Send us in your 6 degrees of Gerry Anderson connecting Thunderbird 2 to Post-it notes to podcast at gerryanderson.co.uk. And we look forward to reading some amazing suggestions, but they must be, pretty clear ones.
Amazing.
Yeah, not vague.
Yeah. Right, good. Okay. Megan got in touch to say, greetings, gents, and congrats on Pod 150. I've been offline for a few weeks.
Carry on.
Oh, go on. Right. Be my agent. I've been offline for a few weeks, says Megan, due to dislocating my shoulder, ending up with a severe staph infection and bursitis, which has made sitting up for long periods at the laptop rather difficult. She says, I managed to catch Pod 150 and, to my delight, heard the interview with Jeremy Hitchen. Megan says, I've loved Jeremy and his work for many years, and Tiger Neinstein is one of my favourite non-Tracy family Anderson characters. Hearing Jeremy's stories was delightful and brought back many memories. Thanks once again, lads, from Megan.
Oh, thanks, Megan, but more stories from Jeremy to come.
Oh, good, yes. Thank you for my special reward, says Hannah, for doing something great in my spare time. It was very unexpected and very kind of you all. Ah, yes, this was following Hannah's news that she'd been helping to provide vaccinations and so on, and assisting in vaccination centres. I'll be keeping it up as much as I can, says Hannah, and I will continue my support for Gerry Anderson. Just one more thing before I go. I forgot to ask something from my previous message. At the end of the Gerry Anderson Day Fab Live, did you bring one of my drawings to life? Because it looked very familiar. Thank you, and FAB, Hannah. I guess that must be the Thunderbird 2 animation at the end.
Oh, I guess so.
Of our Fab Live broadcast.
No, I mean, Chris did that completely independently without any outside influence. So no,
But Hannah's pictures, as we know, have that great sense of movement, don't they? So we can understand how that happened. Now, hello, Richard and Jamie. I don't know if this is the right email address, says Hugh. So if it's no, please delete. Thanks for a wonderful Gerry Anderson Day. Even though I'm in Australia, in Adelaide, I enjoyed the day by watching some of my favourite episodes from the shows I have on DVD. For example, Stingray, Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, New Captain Scarlet, Joe 90 and UFO. I've always been interested in how, back in the 1960s and 1970s, they made productions in such a small time. Plus all the details involved, the facts, trivia, etc. I've been inspired by the Gerry Anderson shows and many others, classics from that era, and I've been making my own Lego stop animation videos. But here's the twist. I'd be using super marination tricks and style to make it appealing to modern-day audiences. To find out more, please check out my YouTube channel, Scruffy Films, or my Instagram account, Scruffyfilms_official, for more details. And that's from Hugh.
Thanks, Hugh. We'll take a look.
Yes, certainly will. A couple more. Hi, Jamie, Rich and Chris, says Stuart. Just need to say, what a great podcast. It takes me back to my childhood, watching Thunderbird, Stingray, Captain Scarlet and Joe 90. About the great Joe 90 and G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is the American version of our Action Man, the fantastic toy of the 1970s. And that's maybe why ITC in America may have got upset over the branding for Joe 90, which actually would have never affected us over here. FAB regards, Stuart. Fair enough. And finally, Stephen says, hi, Jamie and Richard. Inspired by Chris Dale's recent online piece about the MSV the other week, I thought you might like the following. I recorded it whilst walking down a path, in case you were wondering. Love the show, and the best to all of you at Anderson Towers. Cheers from Stephen. And he sent us this rather smashing voice file.
Hi, Jamie. Hi, Richard. After the online article about the Spectrum maximum security vehicle, I thought I'd just give you a few lines about my experience of having this when the toy was released back in the 70s. I, as you would do at that time, decided to find out for myself whether or not it was actually properly indestructible. So my little white dinky toy was hurled repeatedly against the pebble dash of our bungalow to see if it would still work afterwards. And I could still push it around and the door still opened and the gold was still intact, or the isotopes or whatever they were. But I decided it needed more severe treatment. So I got my dad's garden roller, which was, I think probably, I don't know, had a diameter of about 2 foot and seemed to be made of cast iron or something. And I put the poor vehicle underneath that and pushed it over the top of the vehicle several times and then retrieved it. And the wheels all still went round and the doors still opened and the isotopes were still intact. So I decided that it was, in fact, an indestructible vehicle. So there you go. Quality dinky product for you. Just what you might like to know. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, Stephen.
Always nice to hear from our Podsterons, isn't
What
it?
a lovely sounding walk.
Yes, exactly. So you can drop us a line, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk, and even send us a little voice memo as well, and we'll play that out too.
Please do send those in. We really love them.
Yeah.
Rich James.
Yes?
There's a lot of things from Podsterons there, but I think it's important that we get some Gerry Anderson news, don't you?
I think it's the third most important thing in the entire podcast.
You're right. Well, let's do the third most important thing in this entire podcast now. It is this week's
Gerry Anderson News. E-news, news.
I was really worried from when you were going to do it. That's lovely. Thank you, Richard James. Richard James, is it possible to have too many eagles in the world?
Oh, no, I don't think it can be, surely.
No, I don't think so either. So, lots of you may have been picking up or pre-ordering the 1612 Space 1999 collectibles, including their set of pre-orderable 5-inch eagles. But I see you a 5-inch eagle and I raise you 2 10-inch eagles.
Wow.
Yeah, so our lovely friends at Eagle Moss and Hero Collector have put up for pre-order a couple of fantastic new 10-inch eagles, a standard transporter and a booster edition, both of which are available for pre-order from the Gerry Anderson Store, of course, shop.gerryanderson.co.uk. They are rather smart, come on a lovely flight display stand, which is great. Each comes with a special collector's box and a magazine. And we believe the first one, the transporter, is arriving in July, and the booster version is arriving in August. They may be slightly delayed because everything in the entire world, there's any kind of small fry stuff like our bits and pieces are being shipped from China or elsewhere and are delayed because of COVID and Brexit and Suez Canal blockages and everything else, but they will get here eventually. But they are lovely, lovely things. Relatively limited editions, so go and grab those if you would like. From the other end of the Gerry Anderson universe, from the very well-known to the almost unknown, you may have seen the news about 5 Star 5, Richard James.
Oh, yeah, you say unknown, soon to be known.
Soon to be extremely well known. Seem to be the best known Gerry Anderson project. Now, our very own Richard James, who I'm speaking to right now, who you just heard laugh, has done this novelisation from the original screenplay. Richard James, would you like to tell us briefly about 5 Star 5 and what readers and listeners can expect?
Oh, well, it's an epic tale of adventure written in the late 1970s by Gerry Anderson and Tony Barwick, following on from Space 1999. It was a proposed movie script, and I think actually pre-production got underway at Bray Studios before as ever, the finance fell through, and it didn't happen. But the script has been languishing for all that time and was discovered just a few years ago, I think. Is that right, Jamie?
That's
or
correct.
have you always known about it? Yeah.
No. It was in a pile of stuff in a filing cabinet, and I pulled it out and went, "Oh, what's this? 5 Star 5."
That's right. Yep. So great fun to novelise. It follows the adventures of Captain John D. Lovell and his attempts to raise a motley crew to thwart the Zargon invasion of the planet Kestra.
Oh, it's a bit. I mean, they described it as the Magnificent Seven in space, but I think it's a bit more Star Wars A New Hope meets Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, absolutely right, yes. Yeah, in fact, someone tweeted today, "Oh, that'll be a rip-off of Guardians of the Galaxy then." And I replied, what, in 1979?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Don't think so.
A pre-rip-off?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I think that's about right. It's a great adventure, a dash of humour in there as well, and I'm looking forward to you all getting to know some more characters from the Anderson universe. That's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a special hardback edition, which you can pre-order now, and also a CD set of the audiobook read by Robbie Stevens with music and effects by Benji Clifford, our lovely previous guest and friend of the Anderverse. And eventually the digital version will be available from bigfinish.com, but for now it's just hardback and CD version, so you can go and pre-order those from the store if you would like at any point. And they've got a rather lovely cover, haven't they? Very nice, Very nice cover by Marcus Stamps, who's doing a lot of our design work at the moment on print material, so he's done a really lovely job. Yeah. From the stars to my desk, if you would like some Gerry Anderson themed coasters, those lovely Gail Myers Co. mugs that have been so popular, we've replicated the design on a coaster set 4 coasters, which are available now. Nice. They look really lovely. It's a really nice, subtle Anderson-esque addition to your home, potentially.
Yeah.
If we're not giving you enough Gerry Anderson goodness for free here on the podcast or on the website or via our social media or our YouTube channel, all of which is free of charge, and you would like to get some further inside track info from the worlds of Anderson, then Anderson Insiders has now moved from Patreon to the store. If you just search Anderson Insiders on Google, then you'll see a Patreon link there. Ignore that. Go one down and you'll see it from at the shop, shop.gerryanderson.co.uk. There's a link there. And so now it's all in one place. And if you join as a cadet or a lieutenant or as a special agent, then you get discounts on everything on the store. And once you're logged in, those are all automatically applied. It's all rather clever and smart and fun.
Integrated, I think, is the word, isn't it?
Integrated. Yes, it's very much integrated. So that's rather exciting. So do pop along and have a look there. And also we've got a few flash deals and stuff coming up most Fridays for the foreseeable future. If you hang around on our social media, particularly Twitter, or have subscribed to our push notifications on the store, so just go to shop.gerryanderson.co.uk, wait about 30 seconds, and a little thing will come up and say, can we send you some notifications? Just say allow, and then you'll see these flash deals appear once a week for up to 60% off a randomly chosen bit of goodness from the Anderverse. So there you go. That's exciting, isn't it? Cool. Right, I think that's enough for this week, isn't it? Unless you've got anything?
No, only that I took my car into the garage today and I was wandering around the little industrial complex where the garage is, and it reminded me of Pinewood Studios. And for a little moment, I almost thought about taking a picture and tweeting it saying, great to be back at Pinewood, #Space Precinct, #2nd series. But I didn't.
But it's not the 1st of April, so you didn't do that.
Exactly.
Okay, well, there you go. On that exclusive bombshell, that's the end of this week's Gerry Anderson News.
That was the news. That was the news.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, over on our Facebook group, people have been reacting to the news that 5 Star 5 is coming as a novel. For example, Arian posted, blimey, this sounds like a 2000 AD strip. I want it. Yeah, nice. It does indeed sound very 2000 AD. CJ List says, talking chimpanzee, either Mitch has finally learned some etiquette or the PG Tips chimps have been brought out of retirement. That's referring to one of the characters in the book. Earl Black says, wow, sounds brilliant. Ashley Bell says, can't wait to read it. Joe Harwood says, back in the day, I remember seeing the pre-production sketches and poster artwork and anticipating its landing. Crushed when it did not make it. Never say never. What great news. Well done. Miles Parrish says, keen as a bean for this, and I've just pre-ordered. Simon White says, it'd be interesting to see this brought to either the small or big screen, either in live action or ultra marionation. Well, as you say, as Joe said earlier, never say never. Rob Doyle said, it's been a while since I posted anything. Life got in the way, kids homeschooling, finding a new job and lockdown, etc. But I've finally got a bit of time for myself and I've decided to watch the first episode of each Anderson show to decide which series I'm going to watch next. Wish me luck, he says. I'm starting with Torchy the Battery Boy.
It won't be that one.
Okay. Well, now, he says there's 2 ways of looking at it. It's either a sweet but dated children's show, which was the beginning of great things to come, or it's a dark and twisted story about a mad inventor who's just a little too interested in children. He creates a demonic toy who only doesn't turn on his creator because he needs batteries to keep him alive. You decide, he says, but I'm giving it 4 out of 10. Bit harsh. Now, Zach Reynolds posted a picture of a Steve Zodiac and the Fireball XL5 comic that he's found. He said, I stumbled upon this at my local comic shop. Does anyone know any additional info on it? Is this single issue a script from the TV21 comics? Is it just a cheap cash-in attempt? Is it just a weird one-off tie-in? Why the devil did they not call the damn thing Fireball XL5? Why in all the world, if you have such a cool spaceship, would you not put that boy on the cover? The cover is incredible, though. I love Gold Key covers, but but this makes me wonder how many Gold Key comics were like this. They did have several licensed properties back then, including Star Trek, but they didn't change the whole name of the show like this. Do you know about Gold Key comics?
I'm afraid I don't, but I know that Chris Dale almost certainly will. So, Chris, I hope when you've finished balancing up there that you'll come down and give us an explanation maybe in the next couple of weeks.
Indeed. And finally, over on our Facebook group, Mark Simpson Wedge shared a post from the Prop Gallery. We often talk, don't we, about props being shared between Gerry Anderson shows and shows like Blake Seven and Doctor Who and so on. And the Prop Gallery posted, in this Doctor Who and Gerry Anderson crossover, the planet projected here by the CET machine in the 1979 Doctor Who serial Nightmare of Eden was actually miniature effects footage filmed for the planet Retha in the Space 1999 episode The Full Circle in 1975.
Yes.
There are also 2 other instances of Space 1999 footage being used in this serial for the same purpose.
And I believe we covered that in a Fab Fact in pod 57. Maybe it probably wasn't that one, that's a guess. But we've definitely covered the... Oh, gosh, what was it called? It's the company that does the stock footage. Have got a lot of that stuff.
Oh, yes.
I've forgotten the name, but yes, them.
I never listen anyway. Yeah, great. Good. So remember, you too can be a member of our Facebook group. Just head on over to facebook.com/groups/Podsterons, answer a few questions, and we'll let you in, and you can join in the fun.
Please do that immediately, Podsteron. We'd love to have you there.
Yeah.
Okay, Richard James. I feel like you'd come to a natural pause in your Podsteron reporting there.
You're absolutely right.
Good. Now, obviously, I've been busy doing some Jeremy Hitchen and other interviews after having a little break, thanks to you.
Yeah.
This is the last part of Jeremy, part 3 of 3. Ooh. He's full of goodness and full of lovely stories and full of kind and thoughtful reflections on his time working on Anderson shows, including his recollections of working on the Terrahawks audio series and all sorts of other bits and pieces. So shall we hear a bit more from the lovely Jeremy Hitchen?
Yes, please.
Here is part 3 of Jeremy Hitchen. So Scarlet Wraps, and obviously, you know, the result looked great, but it had all sorts of distribution problems and stuff, and it didn't get the recognition it deserved. It was, you know, treated rather poorly, unfortunately, by the UK broadcaster. No names mentioned, and so there was no more new Scarlet. So then, you've got seven years from then until Dad died in 2012. I guess you're still doing voice stuff across that time, Jez, or was it more about Foodies Festival? What was going on then?
Well, no. I mean, from doing, you know, commercials, that's the mainstay of work, selling stuff on radio ads and TV stuff. And I do a lot. Funnily enough, there's a game. There's a game manufacturer called Drummond Park. I think they might have changed their name briefly. And this is it's a husband and wife team. They're very good people, and they just look at trends, and whenever there's a trend, they create a game. So, you know, I did a wizard game when Harry Potter came out. And, you know, these are all of these ads are still being played on CITV and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, crazy things like people should look this up because it's so mad. When Shrek, just after Shrek had been around they thought, let's create a game about a Shrek-alike who's sitting on a toilet in a box, and you have to answer questions. And, you know, if you get it right, you have to put a bog roll on a little pole. And it's everything is derivative of Buckaroo, isn't it? So at one stage, you get too many bog rolls, the whole thing explodes.
That's like Pooparoo.
It was called Og on the Bog.
Oh, nice.
It was, listen as he farts and squirts. And it was, you know, one of the most bizarre. And I did another one about you have to climb up a hill where there's a goat with a ram. And if you're crossing the field, the ram, you know, pushes over and knocks you off the hill. And I'll never forget the tagline was, I can't remember the name of the game, but the tagline was, you know, buy this game, it's bottom-butting fun.
But it's funny how that sort of line is absolutely perfect for you somehow. The voice is a perfect fit for that.
It was great. So, you know, I've done a lot of that, but obviously, as you say, Foodies Festivals around Britain has kept us busy. So, never idle. My wife doesn't like idle.
I can imagine she wouldn't let you be, which is totally fair enough. It keeps you going. So obviously then you heard the news on Boxing Day 2012 that Dad had passed away.
Very sad.
And I mean, I guess, that sort of marks for a lot of people the end of an era in many ways. So
absolutely. I mean, apart from me being very pally with him and your mum, I loved your mum, love your mum still, to be a part of, I don't know whether people realise how much of an icon in British television, well, not just British television, obviously, your dad was. And, when you look at the amount of stuff that he put out, from The Protectors to, Space 1999, UFO, these were all fantastic shows with people, as well as, obviously, everybody knows Stingray, Captain Scarlet, Joe 90, a mountain of work. Did he ever, did he ever stop?
No, not really. He wanted to carry on forever and ever and ever, and was still trying to write until he could basically no longer read or write because of the dementia. So, yeah, an unstoppable force, and left behind all sorts of unfinished stuff. So, I guess then when I got in touch with you and said, "Hey, we want to do some more Terrahawks," that was quite unexpected. Possibly,
it was totally unexpected, and an absolute. Well, I was first in the queue to say, yeah, I'm so up for that, absolutely, and and as I say, it ended up being just as much fun as doing the original story, and doing it with old friends. There was only one downside to the whole thing I can think of. And that was waiting for Denise Breyer to find her page.
Oh, bless Denise. I'm terribly sorry, darling. Yeah, that must have been her most used phrase, actually, I guess, during the recordings.
Where are we? What page? What page? But she's such a darling. I mean, really. And to be able to bring back Zelda with that sort of conviction, at quite an age.
Well, yeah, but doing Zelda and Mary in her 90s. Yeah, Mary was supposed to be in her 20s, and obviously it's an older voice, but she still had the sort of the delicate commander, I suppose, is the kind of personality, isn't it?
Absolutely, no, absolutely. She was. She's a legend. She's an absolute legend, as you say, in her 90s. But it's we did on. We had a guest. What was the chap's name who did the voice of Brains in
David Graham. David Graham came in. Yeah,
he did, didn't he? And he was 95 or something.
Yeah, well, they hadn't worked together since the late 50s, those two.
God, and he was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was brilliant. And of course, the late Nicholas Parsons, who came in for series 2, which we recorded separately from you guys because of his availability. But it was. We had a lot of fun on that particular series.
I'd spoken to Nicholas quite a lot because I'd phoned Denise when Denise and Nicholas were together, and he was always very charming and very sweet. And in fact, at the last Fanderson convention in Leicester, was it?
Andercon 2015. That would have been, yes. Was he there? Yeah. Or was it 2014? I think he only came to the London one, didn't he? I can't remember. I think it must have been London, the Heathrow one he came to.
Yes, because I know that Robbie Stevens and I were, whilst, his voice still sounded spectacular, he was, we were having to help him up and down stairs and things like that. So physically he was showing his age, but vocally he was still, brilliant and still doing a minute. And
he was so on the ball for that. Halfway through the recording when we did his scenes in isolation, he said, "I haven't got a clue what's happening, but it's very funny." But he just, he made it sound so professional, and he was such an old pro about it, even though he really didn't know what was going on in this surreal universe. Bless him, he was brilliant. So, Jez, in terms of getting into it, obviously with the gang and Robbie and Denise, there's an element of continuity from the original. How did it feel getting the scripts and kind of getting back into character? Were there any elements that were particularly challenging, finding an old voice or anything. But I mean, you've already shown these voices sort of live in your vocal library.
Yeah, it was quite a challenge. I felt it was quite a challenge doing Windsor Davis, because obviously Windsor Davis was unable to join us for the audios, and doing this great, this big voice, this very big character. I mean, a very big character for such a small little silver ball. It was, that was like, I don't know whether I can pull this off very well.
Well, you pulled it off marvellously, I'd say.
Oh, thank you. Fishing rods out there.
They did an excellent job. I mean, it's, it didn't, I don't think it felt like anything was missing at all, but it felt like a really complete unit in terms of how you work together and right through to the finished product. It felt like more Terrahawks, and it was an absolute joy to do. Now, I'm just going to draw on two particular memories. I'm sure you will remember both of them.
Go on. I'm already frightened.
No, don't be. I'm just remembering at the end, I think it was the end of series 2, and we weren't sure we were going to do a third one. And we all went out to that fish and chip place in Maida Vale by the canal, rather.
Yep.
And Denise stayed out after her curfew, and her daughter rang and was all worried about her. And then Denise said, well, let's have espresso martinis. And we had a couple of rounds of those. And the next morning, everybody sort of slightly stumbled in, with slightly sore heads and slightly throaty. And Denise waltzed in, good morning, darlings. I feel wonderful. How are you? In her 90s, she's doing that, and the rest of us were suffering, which is amazing how that helped her power through. That was a very happy meal, and a lovely little crew there. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, no, I enjoyed that very much. In fact, we had that first espresso martini, and then I think I insisted buying around and having another go on it.
So it's your fault.
And yes. So Robbie and I were sharing a hotel room around the corner, and after there was so much caffeine, I don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
And I'm in the hotel room, I'm like, I've had some strange drug made of white powder or something.
We were all twitching. I'm sure. I didn't get a wink of sleep, and yet Denise stayed out after her bedtime and then was fresh as daisy the next day. But it was just it was really obvious the bond that everybody had kind of developed, and it's a very happy memory for me. But on that same note, when we finished series 3, I don't know if you remember, but there's basically a bidding of farewell to Denise's character, and Neinstein's.
It's the first time in acting in my career as Tiger Neinstein, when he believed that Mary had been, killed. And I remember reading it and then coming out of the booth, and I had tears all down my face. I couldn't believe I've really been crying, I am an actor after all.
I found it finally after all these years. But it was so lovely. I mean, even thinking about it now, I can feel myself getting slightly wet-eyed, because it was a real stellar performance from both of you, actually.
Bless you.
And it was so nice to kind of end Terrahawks on a note where it really meant something to the characters and to all of us as well. It was really, really lovely. So if you haven't listened to Terrahawks audios, then what are you doing with your life? You
might. And can we tell the truth about Mary?
Don't spoil it, Jeremy. Don't spoil it. They'll have to find out for themselves, won't they?
Okay, all right, yeah. How do people go about it, James?
They go to bigfinish.com, or there's free episodes on the Gerry Anderson Store and beyond. So you never know. We may yet get a chance to do more Terrahawks. I don't think it's going to happen right now, but never say never, because you probably would have said never in 1986, and then we made a load more. So
absolutely.
I hope.
Does that mean?
Yes,
right,
Jeremy. Yes.
Does this mean that the Terrahawks is in fact the biggest product in the Gerry Anderson portfolio?
Yes, technically it has the most episodes of any Anderson show, I believe. So
how's about that? You can't use that impression anymore, but no.
No, please. We were doing so well, and it's all just, it's all fallen over now.
No, I tell you what, if the Terrahawks come back, yet again, Jamie, I would be so thrilled. I'll be at the front of the queue, and I'll be on the first aeroplane when we're allowed.
Yes.
Down south, down under my mate. I'll be there. You know it.
It'll be lovely to get back into the moat and do some more of those. And so, Jez, just round things off. What are you up to now? Obviously, we're all in varying degrees of lockdown, and I guess foodies is still going. So, what's going on for you right now?
Well, as I said earlier, it looks like a film. I'm going to be working on a film called The Banker Dave, playing a fat banker, which I'm looking forward to. And yeah, we're just putting together foodies festivals. This year we're doing 11 festivals, starting in Maidstone in Kent. And we've got a couple of new ones that we're going to be doing. So if anybody around the country is into food and drink, foodies festivals will be coming to a place near you. And it's an environment to tell people what it is. It's an outdoor event. We have a chef's theatre with top chefs doing cooking demonstrations. We work very closely with MasterChef. We have cake and dessert theatre, so we have people like Candice Brown, who will know we work with Bake Off as well, and actually this year we have a music stage, because if you've got food and you've got drink and you have music, you essentially got yourself a party going on. And we're very pleased to say that we've signed up Sophie Ellis-Bextor, who's going to be headlining with us this year.
Oh, nice!
And I think her crying at the discotheque song is brilliant. So, and she's lovely. So that's brilliant. And we've got Scouting for Girls, who worked with us in 2019, who smashed it. And so they're coming back. So
nice.
Street food, artisan products, top chefs, bakers. It's all getting bigger and bigger. Can't wait.
And I mean, surely after all this lockdown stuff, people will just be gagging to do that sort of thing. I mean, I'm foaming at the mouth thinking about this event.
Well, Jamie, I'll tell you the really weird thing. I mean, this is sort of demonstrates what's going on and how sort of after nearly a year, virtually a year, how fed up people are. We haven't started marketing foodies festivals yet. We're selling tickets like there's no tomorrow. People are just going on the website and buying tickets. It's great. So the desire for the people to get out, and there's a thought that governments are telling us maybe not to go on holiday abroad and to stay here. So fine. So people are looking for something to do, and what better than go and eat, drink, and listen to great music. Yeah. So
in the company of Tiger Neinstein from Terrahawks, we should add.
Well, yeah, I do keep that under wraps, But I'll be there. I'm comparing the chef's theatre, so
amazing.
I love that. That's brilliant. Okay. So, and then the odd commercial come up and a bit of film work, and that's me. Still busy. So
yeah, I'm glad to hear it, Jez, and it's so nice to speak to you and see you doing well despite the year from not quite hell, but a rather crap year.
Right. I just need a haircut now. That's.
Well, yeah, you want to be doing my style, mate, then you'll be all right.
You just don't like buying shampoo. I mean,
no, that's it. I'm just tight. That's the only reason I've gone for the bald look. And Jez, is there anywhere are you online in any way, sort of Twitter or Facebook or stuff? Do you avoid that like the plague if people want to see what you're up to, or is Foodies Festival the best way to kind of get
Foodies Festival
get a piece of Tiger?
Yes. Foodies Festival. I think that I've got a website, jeremyhitchen.com.
Okay. There you go.
Man of 1,000 voices, apparently. I don't know who made that up, not me. Available for bar mitzvahs, weddings, and everything.
There you go. Right, start booking in, folks. Jez, thanks so much. Brilliant
Jamie, so great to speak to you again, mate. And can't wait to see you. Fingers crossed for Terrahawks Mark 3.
Or 4. Oh, 4. Yeah, no, season 4, whatever. We'll work it out. Oh, lovely, Jeremy. I could and did chat to him for hours. In fact, there's lots of stuff that we didn't record.
I can imagine.
Other bits and pieces, lots of stuff that was not suitable for a podcast for a general family audience. But yeah, Jeremy, thank you so much. She's brilliant. Do pop along to Foodies Festival's website and see if there's a Foodies Festival going on near you. And a little hint for you. When you get to the gate, tell them that you're friends with Tiger Neinstein, and they might, do you a favour or something, or at least just see Jeremy comparing on the main stage and go and shout, expect the unexpected, or Terrahawks stay on this channel.
He'd love that.
He loves being heckled as our Jezza. Now, Richard, as I'm sure you can guess, I'm totally exhausted from doing yet another interview.
Yeah, I know, because you've been doing 3 on the bounce, 3 weeks on the trot.
Well, it is only one interview, but yes, 3 weeks on the trot. So I think it's time I have a break. So I'm handing over the interview baton, or microphone, I suppose, to you. So who are you speaking to next week?
Well now, Toby Haydoke will, I know, be a name known to many of you, many of our listeners, not least because of his connections with the worlds of Doctor Who, but he also has many a memory of growing up with Gerry Anderson shows, such as Captain Scarlet and Thunderbirds and so on, and even has a thing or two to say about Space Precinct, no less.
No way.
So yes, I caught up with him a few weeks ago, so I guess we'll have the first part of that next week.
We will. Two parts of that on there, I think. So yes, great. I look forward to hearing something from Toby in due course. Loads more interviews that we've already got stacked up. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but there's some really cool ones coming up. So some very cool ones coming up in due course.
All right, great.
Richard James.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we hand over to Chris, who's very precariously climbing down now from his strange...
He's teetering, isn't he? Yes.
Oh, do you know what he was doing?
I have no idea.
He was pretending he was piloting Thunderbird 1.
Of course he was.
Of course.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense now. He was just in takeoff mode. Thank goodness he didn't try for horizontal flight. Chris, now you're down here. Shall we get you down to press your big red button and give us your latest issue of the Randomiser? We should.
Go on, Chris.
Okay, off you go, Chris.
I'm kind of tired. Routine days always get me this way. Say, what are you doing here?
Oh, hello, Commander. Well, Marina wanted to stop by Marineville for a little while, see everybody, and I just thought I'd visit you for a bit.
Why?
Well, firstly, because you happen to have a spare bedroom, and secondly, I was hoping you might be able to press the button on the randomizer for us this week.
Well, okay. What did I do?
Oh, it's quite all right, Commander. The machine is just selecting this week's episode, and once we have the printout... perhaps you'd like to tell us what episode we're watching today.
Trapped in the Depths.
Ah, very interesting. Doesn't that title mean anything to you?
Yeah, it's a good title.
Well, yes, but once again, it's an episode title that was used in more than one Anderson series.
Very interesting.
Very interesting?
Very interesting.
But this particular Trapped in the Depths is not Stingray, it's Supercar.
Yeah. Now let me get back to sleep, will you?
Oh, yes, of course, sorry. Room for one more?
Listen, will you get out of my room?
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm going. So, welcome back to Supercar on the Randomiser with Trapped in the Depths. This is, oddly enough, coming quite soon after Captain Scarlet's Seek and Destroy, which is one of those episode titles that appears in more than one Anderson series, because there is a Stingray episode with this name as well. We are looking at a newspaper printing press.
Jimmy, the Navy's got a new bath escape, and they are going to make the deepest underwater dive that's ever been known.
Gee, Professor, what's a bath escape?
Well,
you'll find out soon enough. I'm driving you down to the naval yard. You're going to test it.
Into the sea, much deeper than a submarine.
Deeper than Supercar could go?
Much deeper than that. It says here that the bath escape is on a naval boat near New Zealand.
Something better than Supercar?
One of the deepest seabeds in the world.
Surely not.
Jimmy, I tell you something. I'd rather be here on dry land.
But Professor, you're with me.
Oh yes, I would like to be in the bottom of the ocean instead.
1200 hours. Dive will commence now.
Mistral calling Lulu. Mistral calling Lulu.
This was actually the second episode of Supercar that I ever saw. It was on the same VHS tape as The Sunken Temple, which we've discussed as on a previous podcast, was the very first one I ever saw. Here we are on the Mistral.
Personnel connected with dive.
This is the boat that's supervising the dive, which is
9 for check now.
Rather charmingly conveyed by quite a bit of stock footage.
Mistral Control, this is Commander Keyes speaking.
But we have got a model being lowered into water in front of stock footage of water.
Hold on, John. We should be hitting the water any minute.
Okay, Phil. I'll watch it.
Lulu to Mistral. Wish you'd tell those boys to drop it slower. John always cracks his head when we hit the water.
Check, Commander.
All set, John?
All set.
Ow!
Commence dive.
This is Commander Keyes and John in the bathyscape.
03 Greenwich Mean Time.
Ah, there they go.
12.
Being lowered down behind the fish tank.
Depth.
30 feet. 40. 50. 60.
And so the counting continued long into the night.
3,500 fathom.
Oh, we skipped over a bit there.
Testing ASDIC Morse transmitter.
Mistral here, ready to receive ASDIC code groups. Go ahead, please, Lulu.
Do you read us, Mistral?
We read you. Message AZ. AZ received clearly.
Well, that's something anyway. The telephone line may not stand the pressure at this depth, but it's well to have a second line of defense. Hello, Mistral. Hello, Mistral.
Mistral to Lulu. Report on descent, please.
Descent normal, controlled. Rate 4 feet per second. Batteries 3/4 charged. All's well. I repeat, descent normal, all's...
Uh-oh. Oh, no. The line is cut, and the bathyscape is falling.
Come in, Lulu. This is Mistral here, Lulu. Come in, please.
Come on, AZ. Or maybe you've got two other letters you'd like to substitute for that now.
Your signal strength has fallen to 0. Reply by ASDIC, please.
Oh, yes, that's why they had that there. This is another very technical episode of Supercar, as we'll discover as we go along.
This is Mistral Control here. ASDIC message received from Lulu reads, float damaged. Sinking out of control, danger. We have lost telephone contact. I repeat, we have lost telephone contact with the sphere.
A sphere named Lulu. There we go, tapping out Morse code. Oh, it's all so very 1960s. And there's another newspaper.
There is still no contact with the Navy divers.
Meanwhile,
who are trapped
Jimmy and Popkiss are still driving home.
Off New Zealand.
Where have they been for such a long journey for two newspapers to have been published in that time?
But I expect they are using an ASDIC Morse transmitter.
What's that, Professor?
Well, Jimmy, the simplest way I can explain it is this.
Shut up!
Radar, I'm sure.
Oh, sure, Professor. I guess everyone's heard of that.
Well, ASDIC is the equivalent of radar, but underwater.
Underwater.
Now, Mike, about this ultrasonic gun, are you ready for a test?
Okay by me, Dr. Beaker.
But Jimmy isn't back yet.
Supercar around so that we can fire into the blast wall.
Oh, then making another addition to Supercar, which no doubt will not come into play at any point during the remainder of this episode. That would be very unlikely.
Who knows? We may need to use this sooner than we thought.
We
yeah, as if that would happen.
That's it, Doc. Okay, charging port.
Yeah, Mike and Beaker are alone at the lab. Or so they think. Anyway, with Popkiss and Jimmy out of the way, it's a good chance to get things done.
Okay, all aboard for the carousel. Here we go.
Oh, he is rotating Supercar as well. Oh, I get it. Yes, he's going to rotate Supercar so that the blast shield that would normally take the heat from the engines is going to take the blast from the laser thingy that they've put on the front.
A coconut? Good thing Mitch isn't around.
Just give me a chance to get clear, Mike, and then take aim.
Beaker has balanced a coconut on a bottle.
The sights on Clearview. I'm on target, Doc. Countdown starting now. 10.
Oh, goody, another countdown.
9. 8.
And it's a very slow one.
7.
But here's the man himself.
6.
And he likes coconuts. Be a shame to let this one go to waste. No matter what the guys are doing.
3. 2.
Oh, he sat right next to it. Mike clearly didn't notice he was there.
We couldn't have.
What a terrible accident. Ah, no, Mitch is okay.
By Jove, that was close.
It seems that the Doc's ultrasonic gun is a success, and you may have a use for it right now. Have you heard the latest news about those divers in New Zealand? Something has gone wrong. They are trapped at the bottom of the sea.
Trapped? Guess it's just our kind of job, Doc. What do you say, Professor?
Well, whatever you and Beaker think, Mike.
Their only hope is Supercar.
Oh, yeah.
Interlock on.
Despite the fact that Supercar has no roof. As we established, I think the last time we saw Supercar, they were going into space with this thing with no roof.
Charging starboard.
The important thing is Jimmy isn't coming. It's just Mike and Beaker. And they also had prepared on top of the canopy the searchlight, as if they knew they were going to need that this week as well.
They're open. Fire 2.
And going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this episode, episode titles that appear in multiple series. Considering there's more than 500 episodes of Anderson shows, that doesn't happen too often.
Come on, Mike.
Will do.
You also see Anderson episode titles being used as titles in other shows, obviously. Of course, you would... Doctor Who has got things like the Space Pirates and Inferno. I don't know if anyone out there can mention any other favourite shows of theirs that have got notable Anderson titles. I would be very surprised if
10,000 feet over.
I don't know, titles like it could be practically anywhere on the island turn up in any other show. But if you've got any notable ones, do please let us know.
In the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Here is where the bathysphere is exploring.
It's marked as awful deep.
It certainly is, Jimmy. Over 4,000 fathoms. That's more than 5 miles down.
Gee, I wonder what's happened to him.
So here we are at the bottom of the sea,
Not a peep.
which is... I don't think there's a fish tank in front of this shot. It is just enough light to illuminate the model and a couple of rocks. But it's very convincing. Again, I think it's because it's black and white. The darkness, the shadow hides a lot of, or suggests a lot of the depth.
Except rocks. Reckon we're jammed?
Could be.
Especially the fact that there's nothing they can see out of the window. It's absolute black out there as well.
Pull us out from this depth.
Anything yet, Lieutenant?
No, sir. They still keep transmitting. We keep getting short bursts on the Aztec, but nothing long enough to read a message from.
Well, keep trying.
This radio operator on the Mistral is looking slightly more human than the crew of the Bathyscape. I think the side of the ship's hull that we see is also part of one of the ships from Pirate Plunder.
We can't stay down here forever.
Suppose she suddenly frees herself. If we've lost all our ballast, we'll go up like an express train.
Can't help it. We'll just have to hold our stomachs.
Right, Zip. Jettisoning shotgun.
Is she moving?
Afraid not. Ballast silo's empty now.
Right. Then we can do without the main batteries, too. They weigh about a ton.
But what about the searchlight?
We'll keep on the reserve lighting battery. We gotta get off the bottom, John.
Fair enough. Dropping main batteries.
Yeah, more technical talk that you wouldn't get in most children's shows. Certainly not now, but even of the time. This is very much the Woodhouse brothers thinking.
Can't tell whether it's just that we're jammed between rocks or whether the float's badly holed as well.
Yeah, characters in trouble are never short of things to talk about in a Woodhouse brothers script.
Supercar to base, approaching dive zone now. We'll be breaking radio contact shortly.
Console to Supercar, we hear you. Don't take any unnecessary risks, Mike. Remember, we've never tried a really deep dive before.
The pressure down there must be terrific, Professor.
We've already had that conversation, Jimmy.
It'll be more than 10,000 pounds per square inch.
Right, Doc. Here we go.
Oh, Jimmy opened his mouth as if he had something more to say, but I guess that dialogue was cut. Possibly even for him, it was rather redundant. And here we go, Supercar diving towards the sea. There she goes. And yeah, the model descending there was
Send a short message.
was perfectly acceptable for the time, but obviously it doesn't hold up that well compared against the other shows that would come after it. Some of it works really well, like Supercar diving against the backdrop of the clouds, but other shots, like it diving towards the sea, you saw a shot of Supercar from behind and the water looming up towards it didn't quite work.
It's got an Aztec message, sir. I can't understand it.
You have the code book, haven't you, Lieutenant?
It's not in code, sir. Straight Morse.
Okay, read it.
Yes, sir. It says Supercar or something, diving to rescue, out. I still don't understand it. Supercar? What's that? How are we doing?
Yeah.
This was before they were the world-famous Supercar team, but
Per second, that's...
evidently happened at some point between the first and second series.
You still see the telephone cable.
Because this is quite late on in the first season. This is episode 20-ish.
Just before we took off back in the lab, you said something about our needing that.
Well, I meant that it was likely that the cable was not broken, but cut through, or if you like, bitten through.
Oh.
Hey,
What?
we've reached the end of the cable.
So if something's bitten the cable,
Oh, hey, what?
does that mean... Yes! It's a supercar underwater fish. Ah, as many fish are indeed underwater. Yeah, one of those scary, very scary supercar fish.
I've got a metallic echo at 3,000 fathoms.
Great. They must be coming up.
It's not the commander and Fraser, sir. It's moving about too fast for that.
Fraser? Ah.
Not up. And it's zigzagging, too.
The first Gerry Anderson Fraser? There were always quite a lot of characters named Fraser. Oh my goodness, this puppet.
Weigh a couple of tons or more.
This fish puppet. Oh.
Large ultrasonic cannon.
No, don't shoot it. I want to have a look at it.
You ready, Doc?
Quite ready.
It looks like he's... Oh, that's so quaint.
Fire!
Oh, they blowed him up.
Wow, I hope there aren't many of his friends around.
Oh, I do. He was sweet. He looked like a little muppet. Oh.
Getting a bit close in here, John. How's the air?
Just finishing the test now.
Oh, yeah, more science stuff.
Not too good, I'm afraid, Phil. Oxygen's all right for the moment, but there's something else in the air. Can you smell anything?
Yes, I can.
I thought that was you.
Batteries.
We're overloading them.
Yeah, they're doing an oxygen test with a flask.
Stand by.
Again, only in first season Supercar would you see stuff like that.
Don't waste any, Skipper. We need it all.
Now, there's a shot with a fish tank on it. Lots of bubbles.
How much have we got left?
2 hours.
2 hours? We'll need the emergency supply.
That was the emergency supply you were using just now, Phil.
Well, why didn't you say something?
Oh, boy, we're in trouble then, I'm afraid, John. Signal the surface anyway.
Sure.
It's time to decide which of us we eat first.
Only faint signals now, sir. I think their power's running out. They may have jettisoned the main batteries.
Yeah, this flotilla of ships on the surface is stock footage. I'd like to know where that's from, if anybody recognises it.
Depth, Dr. Beaker?
Because occasionally you get real-world stock footage in this show, and it actually works rather well. Again, I don't know if it's the black and white nature of the thing. You just accept these things more easily than you might do in a colour show.
You really want me to keep on, Phil? My hand's about dropping off, and it's getting hotter in here.
Oh, dear.
Well, nobody can do anything about it.
And I've got this Morse telegraph message to send as well.
Always play checkers. I'll level up a bit.
Ah, that's it. Yeah, play
Any
checkers.
sense of it, Doc?
It's stopped. All I have is 02, 02, 02.
Pity we haven't got...
Ah.
Well, we can find out what it means.
That's your mobile phone provider coming after you to pay your bill.
Interpreted correctly. They are signaling they are short of oxygen.
Oh, or that, yeah.
Leveling off. Let's take a look around.
Again, more non-Barry Gray library music, and I'd like to know where...
Call now, sir.
Well, I have a fair idea where it comes from, but I would like to have access to that music as well. There's some very nice tracks in there.
I make it about 100 feet.
Then they must be somewhere near. I'll try Clearview. Hey,
they found her.
half throttle, turning port.
They found the Lulu. And now they're wobbling their way down there.
Not good. We'd only just have enough to reach the surface, even if we broke free now.
Well, there's nothing else we can jettison except the lighting battery.
Thanks, but no, I've an objection to dying in the dark.
They're still alive anyway, and they're going to be about the most surprised deep-sea divers in the universe in a minute. Cutting engines for glide approach.
Are they going to be glad to see us? I like as well with the hand insert shots in this show that the human hand seems to have a glove over it.
It won't hurt to take a look.
In which case you had better maneuver right into contact with the sphere. We shall then be...
It's an odd effect. I think they carry it through to Fireball as well. And
there, too.
It kind of works, but it also... I don't know if they were intending to make it look puppety.
I'll make a signal to base.
Or if it was just something they tried to...
I suppose we're never going to find the...
To make the lighting look a bit convincing, but... yeah, it's an odd thing that...
What's up?
That gloved human hand.
Well, I thought I saw something. That's why coming this way. It looked big enough for a shark.
Not at this depth, old son. At least, I doubt it.
So now Supercar has found the thing. Again, we're looking at a model shot with no fish tank in front of it.
What's that? Can't be the batteries falling off the float. We've still got light.
Commander, are you still alive in there?
Ah.
Hey, now wait a minute. I'm beginning to have delusions, too.
They're doing the thing of just pressing Supercar's hull up against the bath escape.
John, there's something resting up against it.
Sure, Phil, sure.
It's a nuclear submarine. The US Navy's everywhere these days, even at 25,000 feet down.
Now quit clowning, John. I tell you, there's something there.
I do like these guys, Commander Keyes and John.
Hear us.
Are you sure we're
Nice performances from Graydon Gould and George Marcel.
Chief! Fraser! Oh, come off it, sport. Don't let's kid ourselves.
John, we're both hearing it, John.
And the fact that they're both Australian as well is a nice, unusual touch.
Talking to us, lack of oxygen. They say when you're short of air, you imagine things.
I can hear them talking.
Right now, I'm imagining you're the most beautiful man in the world.
Will you, for Pete's sake, stop yammering and answer?
Well, a hallucination. And I've got my wings and harp already.
Hey.
Chief here! Ahoy there, Commander. Don't ask questions, just answer them.
Why?
We are alive and well
And sweaty? Yeah, there's
on oxygen.
lots of sweat applied to these puppets now.
And we think the spear's jammed between rocks.
Jammed? That's bad, but if the float's torn badly, we're really in trouble.
We must inspect it at once. There's no time to lose.
Roger.
Right, out you get.
Ahoy there!
Oh, no.
Contact to examine float.
Well, you can stone me. I don't get it. What is that out there?
We'd better save that question for later. And it looks as if there may be a later now.
The dialogue in this, again, Woodhouse Brothers, is... You kind of know how this situation plays out because we've been here so often in later Anderson shows. Two guys stuck generally at the bottom of the ocean. Obviously, the main one is Atlantic Inferno, but there is countless others like this. And the dialogue is always, oh, we're never going to get out of here. No, we will. Those guys know what they're doing. Oh, no. The writing in this,
right, back to
with regards to the guest characters, is something a bit different. And here we have Barry Gray's gorgeous music carrying us through a less than amazing model shot, but again, for the time,
examine the float.
Really good stuff.
He's got out there, but it seems to be able to do more than Lulu ever could.
I hate Lulu.
Back again.
We found a small tear in your float, but only one. You've lost gasoline from one container only, that means. Can you surface on the rest?
Well, what do you think, John? One tank hold out of 12. Can we do it?
If we weren't jammed and if we dropped the last emergency lighting battery, yes, probably.
Can you free us?
We can try. Do you think we can?
Oh, no, they're toast, but let's give it a whirl.
To push the sphere loose with the engines.
Might be rather fun.
Commander, have you got enough oxygen to last out the ascent?
Only just.
If I kill John now, I'll be all right until we make it to the surface.
We will. Breaking contact.
Hey, Doc.
Yes?
One question. You're the expert. Will the hull stand it? I mean, pushing against a solid object at full throttle.
Well, I should have to consider, calculate.
Well, just guess, Dr. Beaker. There isn't time for calculation.
Yes.
That's good enough for me. Quarter throttle.
Oh, I love that. Firstly, I love that Mike is so instantly prepared to go with Beaker's guess, but also while Mike is pressuring him, the eyes are just wiggling back and forth in their sockets.
John, signal the surface.
I like Beaker.
No point. There's no code message to cover this situation.
I guess not.
And both our guys have pretty much given up at this point. Just gonna loll around and be sweaty.
That's got it. Now let's really try.
Oh, and again, I like that. I like that. It's a bit difficult to explain, but that was a shot of Supercar firing its engines. There was a fish tank in front of the screen, and in there was a piece of coral or seaweed. As Supercar's engines fired, there's a concealed pump in that little bit of vegetation that makes it look like it's coming out of Supercar.
Shifting.
Which, of course, is not in the water, so...
My dear fellow, the strain on the hull.
Caution.
Again, it's baby steps, watching these effects processes being used for the first time and then making these leaps and strides through Stingray and Thunderbirds.
You may damage the seals round the cockpit.
She's nearly free. I can feel it. Jettison battery, John. We're coming free.
Yeah. Okay. She's gone, Skipper.
And we're coming loose. That's it.
Hallelujah. He's very strangely lit there, and Oh, it's beautiful. There they go, rising to the surface. Is that it? That's it. Right, that was Supercar Trapped in the Depths. And I've always had a lot of time for that one. As I said, it was the second episode I ever saw, so I kind of know bits of that one off by heart. Very nice to have more underwater stuff. Firstly, it's always fun to watch this show advancing the effects side of the underwater settings. But also the first, or at least one of the first, two guys trapped needing saving stories.
The skies through the heavens.
You know, our two trapped guys are nothing standout in terms of character, but their dialogue is quite exceptional. So a first two guys needing to be rescued story, and for what Supercar was capable of doing, quite a good one.
Supercar. Dum dum
Supercar.
dum dum dum.
Dum, dum, dum.
Now, Richard
Dum, dum, dum.
James, whenever I see Supercar, do you know what I think?
Here we go. Yes, I know what you think.
Well, what do you think I think?
You think Mike Mercury, Richard James, separated at birth.
Yes, that is pretty much what I think, to be fair.
Yeah, well, yes. No, I can bear that. That's fine. I don't look quite the same because I've cut my hair, as you know.
Yes.
So I haven't quite got the Mercury quiff at the moment.
No, and your eyes no longer poke out quite as much as they used to, so you've got a different kind of eye.
Did they poke out?
Mike Mercury's do, don't they? They're sort of sat on the front of his face. Yeah, you don't look. You're like the handsome human version of Mike Mercury.
Yes,
does
that
work for you?
That's very good. Yes, I shall put that on my CV.
God, save that from the jaws of defeat. Anyway, have you got anything left before we wrap this thing up?
Well, over on Twitter, people have been a lot more complimentary than saying that I had eyes sticking out the front of my face.
No, I just said you were the handsome human version of Mike Mercury.
Come on, you can't back. No, you can't
go. There was no
back.
backpedaling. I was always forward pedaling. Go on.
Lost in Transition says, big thank you to Jamie Anderson, Richard James, Chris Dale, as always, for the Gerry Anderson podcast. Highly entertaining. He said, I meant to post this yesterday, but didn't get around to it.
That's all right. We wouldn't have known if you hadn't told us.
No, that's true. Sam Dudman said, I've been a loyal fan since back in the Fab Live days. I love the podcast, Space Precinct Unmasked, and yes, the playlist is still going. Gerry Anderson Podcast, is it hashtagging it all over the place, even mid-sentence. He says, where can I buy Space Precinct? Please reply, love Sam. Where can you buy it? Well, you can get it from the Gerry Anderson Store, of course, on DVD as a box set. So there. Gary Hodgkinson says, another great pod. Enjoyed part 2 of the interview with Jeremy Hitchen. Looking forward to the next bit. Nice to get a bit of Space Precinct on the Randomiser. Cheers, Fab Trio. Fred McNamara, this is regarding 5 Star 5, says, oh, this looks superb fun. A long-lost Gerry Anderson production brought back to life. And this was a bit of fun as well. The Gerry Anderson Twitter account posted, you get to pilot one Gerry Anderson vehicle for the day. Which one is it and why? Gary replied, an Eagle for an excursion to Alpha Moonbase. Ian said it has to be Thunderbird 1. I was the eldest brother, so I had to be Scott. Hillary said Thunderbird 3 always has been my fave. I lived in Edinburgh for several years, and the Scott Monument always made me think of Thunderbird 3. To Google that. Martin says Thunderbird 2 all day and all night. Why? 1, Virgil had the coolest way of getting there.
True.
2, it was the workhorse, without which 90% of rescues wouldn't have been possible. But mainly 3, because every time I take off in a plane, in my head, I hear that theme and see that launch sequence. And finally, Diane says, I'm torn between Fireball XL5 and Stingray. Either way, as I don't know how to pilot either of them, I'd need Steve Zodiac or Troy Tempest to instruct me. Swoon.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Whatever floats your boat.
Totally.
So there you go. Don't forget, hashtag us, Gerry Anderson Podcast. Tag me, Richard N. James, him, I'm Jamie Anderson, and him over there. Oh, I see what he's doing now. He's squatting down on the floor there. Look, and he's put some palm trees on his fingers. Yep, that's at Chris Dalek.
He's being Thunderbird 2.
He is.
That's why he's painted himself green.
I know, it's quite a good shade, isn't it?
Finally makes sense. Yeah, well done, Chris. Or now in Applejack. That's the green colour. Anyway.
Oh, right. I thought he was in a band.
Applejack would be Chris's band, 100%. Anyway, look, I think this is probably the end, isn't it? We've reached the end of the road. We've run out of runway. It's time to wrap up this episode of the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Yeah. We'll be back with you next week for Pod 153. Probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So until then, have a great week. PWOR, SIG, FAB, etc., etc. See you next pod. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Stage 1 complete.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Richard James.
Yes, what?
Did you know?
Why do you always use my full name?
I don't know. It's a stylistic rambling.
Okay.
Or a tick or something. Anyway, did you know that over on Podbean,
yes,
listeners can leave a review for an episode rather than just the podcast itself?
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a rather nice one from from a couple of weeks ago, Pod 150, the 1000 Voices of Jeremy Hitchen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this doesn't tell me who left it, but it says 150 episodes in and still a cracking episode. Such a friendly rapport between the two hosts. Sit back and let the fun begin.
Oh,
that's nice, isn't it?
That is nice.
And that has led me down a bit of a rabbit hole of per episode reviews.
Oh, no.
Pod 146, another great podcast, especially as I got another shout out. Well, unfortunately, I don't know who you are. But I think this
they're getting another one now.
I know.
Don't even know it.
But there's a different person who's left one of Pod 144. How lovely to hear from David Hirsch, whose space report was eagerly devoured in every new issue of Starlog. Another great episode of the podcast. Thanks, guys. Isn't that nice? I mean, they keep going back and back and back. There's so many. I won't keep reading them out.
No, don't.
But I did just recall this. The same chap left this review of Chris on the 9th of February. Yeah. Chris Dale is spot on and a very funny guy.
There you go.
Here.
Says it all. Yeah, nice.
So there we go. It's all very exciting, all these reviews. We'd love it if you would leave a review. Not you, Richard, but you Podsteron, who's still listening now.
So my challenge to you, Jamie, is to find the first ever review for the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Oh, but I have to keep clicking show more and go all the way to the beginning, and there's so many.
There you go. Well, you've got a week. Come on, off you go.
Okay, right. I'm looking now. I'm starting to click. See, show more reviews. Show more reviews. Show more reviews.
You have been listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Wasn't it fun?
You have been listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.